So today we have verses of section 1, subsection 1, 23 onwards till the end of the section. So there's a set of 8 verses, and I will start with verse number 23. So this is Lord Yam continuing to speak. Shatayushah putra potran vrinishva bahun pashun hasti hiranyam ashvan भूमे महत आयतनम वृणीष्व स्वयं च जीव शरदः यावत इच्छसि. So the verse translates to Lord Yam is continuing with the temptation so that Nachiketa may exchange the third boon that he has asked for another boon. And Lord Yam says that ask for many offsprings and their offsprings, who shall live to be 100 years. Choose animals, elephants, gold, and horses. Choose a vast domain on earth. And for yourself, live as many autumns as you desire. So let's take this up word by word. Shatayushah. So Ayush is age and Shat is 100. So Shatayushah becomes to live 100 years. Putra Potran. So Putra is sons and Potra we know is grandsons. So Putra Potran we are translating to offsprings and their offsprings. Vrinish is asked for. Bahun is many. Pashun is animals. Hasti elephants. Hiranyam gold. Ashwan is horses. Bhume is territory in the world. Mahat is great, vast. Ayatanam is territory. Vrinish choose. Swayam yourself. Cha and Jeev Sharadaha. Jeev is life. Sharad is autumns, years. Yavat as many. Ichhasi as you like. So, see, even if you recollect Ishavasya Upanishad, second verse, where we talked of Samha. So, in our tradition, we were always calculating life, our age, in terms of the seasons that we have crossed. So, that is why the term Sharad is used for as age for Nachiketa, for his life. So, anyway, the verse translates to Lord Yama says that please ask for many offsprings and their offsprings, and all these offsprings and their offsprings shall live 100 years. Choose animals, elephants, golden horses. Choose a vast domain on earth, and for yourself live as many autumns as you desire. So let's read it together. शतायुषः पुत्रपौत्रान् वृणीष्व बहून् पशून् हस्ति हिरण्यम् अश्वान् भूमे महत् आयतनं वृणीष्व स्वयं च जीव शरदः यावत् इच्छसि. So Lord Yam is placing a large amount of wealth in exchange for Nachiketa's third boon. What all is he offering? Progeny and their progeny and their longevity. Many animals, elephants, and horses, because in those days, that is how the wealth was counted, not in terms of currency. He's also offering much gold, vast territory on earth, and for Nachiketa himself, long life for as many years as Nachiketa wants. And I guess seeing Nachiketa not moving, so now Lord Yam in the next verse moves on to greater temptations. So, verse 1.1.24, I will chant or I will read. Etat tulyam yadi manyasevaram vrinishva vittam chirajivika cha mahabhumo nachiketah tvam edhi kamanam tva kam bhajam karomi. So the verse translates to Lord Yam now says, if you deem any other boon equal to that, the one that you have asked for, choose it. Choose wealth and a very long life. Be the king, O Nachiketa, of the wide earth. I will make you capable of enjoying all desires. So let's take this up word by word. Etat, this, tulyam, equal to, yadi, if, manyase, you consider, varam, boon, Vrinish, choose. Vittam is wealth. Chirajivikam, long life. Cha and Mahabhumo, so wide, vast, large kingdom. Nachiketa is, O Nachiketa, he is addressing Nachiketa. Thwam you, Edhi, which you will rule or become lord over or become a king. Kama Nam, of all desires. Thwa you, Kam Bhajam, the enjoyer. Karumi, I shall make. So, if you deem any other boon equal to that, to the one that you have asked, choose it. Choose wealth and a very long life. Be the king, O Nachiketa of the wide earth. I will make you capable of enjoying all desires. So let's read it together. Etat tulyam yadi manya sevaram vrinishv vittam chir jivikam cha mahabhumau nachiketah tvamedhi kamanam tvam kambhajam karumi. So now Lord Yam is placing more wealth and has included sensual pleasures in front of Nachiketa in exchange for his third boon. The key words of this verse actually are Kamanam Twa Kambhajam. That means we have, of course, taken up the translation. Essentially, it means capable of enjoying the desires that we have. Lord Yam, therefore, is actually drawing our attention to the fact that it is vitally important for us to be capable of being able to enjoy what we are seeking or enjoy this tantalizing world and the pleasures that we seek from it, or to acquire and enjoy the attractions of the world. So he's promising Nachiketa that he will give him the capability to enjoy these. Right? Now, if we analyze and if we just think about it, to acquire and enjoy the attractions of the world, we should be having three basic things. Of course, health, the capability to enjoy, wealth, the resources to acquire the attractions or the desires, and time. We should have that time to actually indulge in what we have acquired. And if we look back on our life and even on the current state in our life, we will realize that these three basic things, health, wealth, and time, are not easily available simultaneously at different stages of our life. That means together they're not available at the various stages of our life. Let's take up the three stages that I'm going to cover are youth, middle age, and old age. Now, when we are young, we have excellent health and lots of time, but we lack on resources. Normally, we are students at that point of time and we don't have money available. But we have the other two things, we have health and time. By the time we reach middle age, we are normally doing a job, we are a house keeper, and we are in the grihastha ashram essentially. Here, the health most often it continues to be good, but now because we have additional responsibilities and we are trying to make money, we lack time. So time is short, but money is there. So again, one element is missing, or there's a shortage of that, which has to be managed. By the time we reach our old age, the health starts declining. So our health is poor. We have lots of time, and most of us have sufficient money. So, from this analysis, you'll find that all the three resources that are required to enjoy the desires that we have acquired or we have, we are acquiring are not available. All the three elements are not available simultaneously at given stages of our life. So this is a very interesting analysis and interesting set of words that has been used in this verse. So you may like to keep it for file it away for further referencing. And now what is happening is actually, if we come back to the story, Lord Yam is actually weighing Nachiketa's third boon with an alternate boon. And those comparisons are being also made available to us. So it was as if it were that Lord Yam is placing all the wealth and sensual pleasures that a human being can ask for on one side of the balance, and Nachiketa's boon, the third boon, on the other side. Right? So what is happening is that according to Nachiketa, the balance will always tilt in favor of his boon. So, or it implies that all the wealth of this world and all the sensual pleasures that we can possibly conceive of fall way short of the spiritual knowledge that Nachiketa is seeking. And one can imagine that it must be something mysterious and maybe difficult in Nachiketa's third boon, and that is why Lord Yam is reluctant to speak on it and wishes to withdraw from the boon. And of course, instead, Lord Yam is willing to make Nachiketa the emperor of the earth and enjoyer of all the desires. Again, maybe seeing Nachiketa not giving way, Lord Yam now offers all that he can possibly give, and therefore he moves to the charms of the Swarglok, heaven, in the next verse number 25. I will read. ये कामाः दुर्लभः मर्त्यलोके सर्वान् कामां छन्दतः प्रार्थस्य इमः रामः सरथा सतूर्य न हि ईर्धिषा लम्भयनीय मनुष्य आभिमत प्रताभि परिचारस्य नचिकेता मरणम मा अनुप्राक्षे. So the verse translates to whatever desires that are difficult to satisfy in the world of mortals, choose them freely. These fair maidens, probably referring to celestial nymphs or apsaras, with chariots and musical instruments, which are not available to humans, I give them to you. They shall wait upon you. But, O Nachiketa, do not ask me about death. So let's take this up word by word. Ye. So this and this, meaning whatever. Kamaha, objects of desire. Durlabha, durlabh is difficult to obtain. So in Marteloke, in the world of mortals. Sarvan, all. Kamam, objects of desires. Chandataha, according to your choice. Prarthasvya, ask for. Ima, these. Rama is fair maidens, apsaras. Saratha, with rath. Sa is with. So Saratha becomes with chariots. Saturya, Turya is musical instruments. Saturya becomes with musical instruments. Nahi, not indeed. Idrisha, such maidens. Lambhyaniya, obtainable. Manushyaha, by humans or in the mortal world. Abhihi, with these maidens. Mat pratabhi, given by me. Paricharyasya, be attended upon. Nachiketa, O Nachiketa, Maranam, about death. Ma, do not. Anuprakshi, question about. So, Lord Yam says that whatever desires that are difficult to satisfy in the world of mortals, choose them freely. And these celestial nymphs with chariots and musical instruments, which are not available in the mortal world, I give them to you, and they shall wait upon you. But, O Nachiketa, do not ask me about death. So let's read it together. ये कामः दुर्लभः मर्त्यलोके सर्वान् कामां छन्दथ पार्थ पार्थ्यस्व इमः रामः सरथा सतूर्य न हि ईर्ष्या लंभनीय मनुष्य आभि मत्प्रताभि परिचारस्य नचिकेता मरणमा अनुप्राक्षी. So in this verse, now Yam has moved to the pleasures of heaven. Seeing Nachiketa not willing to give up his third boon, he is now offering Nachiketa the pleasures of heaven, the likes of which cannot be conceived of on earth. So, the best parallel that I can draw as an example is that when we are going out and we reserve a hotel, you have 3 stars and you have 5 stars and you have 7 stars. That is the ultimate 7-star hotels, right? Stay or resorts. What actually Yam is offering here is something like 1,001 star desire fulfillment, which we cannot even conceive of on earth. So Lord Yam is of course placing these temptations before Nachiketa to determine whether the seeker is genuine or not. I mean, if the person is willing to trade off, why not settle for something lower? And a normal seeker would have changed course and exchanged the boon by now. See, 95%, actually, if I may say so, 98% of us, we turn to spirituality for a better and happier life, away from the agitations, the hustle and bustle, confusion of life. We do believe in God, but in reality, we do not want to go to God. We want to continue to live here, remember God, but enjoy what we have. Okay. And we want to continue with this acquisition and enjoyment process. So we have desires and we want to enjoy, and we don't really want to withdraw from the world. It is only a genuine seeker like Nachiketa who stays steadfastly on the course. And he says, verse number 26, Shavo bhavah martasya yat antakah etat सर्वे इंद्रियाणाम जरयन्ति तेजः अपि सर्वं जीवितम् अल्पमेव तवेव वाहा तव नृत्य गीते. So the verse translates to, O death. Nachiketa addresses Yam as O death. So Nachiketa says, O death, all these that you offer are ephemeral. Furthermore, they age the sense organs. Indeed, one's entire life is always short to satiate one's desires. Let your horses, dances, and songs remain yours. So let's take this up word by word. Shavo bhavaha. So it means what is there today and gone tomorrow, or ephemeral, fleeting, transient. Martasya, of mritilok, of or of mortals. Yat, whatever there is. Antaka is the name that Nachiketa is using to address Lord Yam, which, so it means which controls the end. So Antaka. So, O death. Etat is this. Sarve indriyanam, of all the senses. Jaryanti is wearing out. They wear out. Tej, the vigor. Api also. Sarvam, all. Jivitam, life. Alpam is short. Ave indeed. Tavev, you alone. Vaha, horses. Tav, your. Nritya Gite, Nritya is dance, Geet is song. So the verse translates to, O death, all these that you offer are ephemeral. Furthermore, they age the sense organs. Indeed, one's entire life is always short to satiate one's desires. Let your horses, dances, and songs remain yours. Let's read it together. Shavo bhava martasya yat antakah etat सर्वे इंद्रियाणाम जरयन्ति तेजः अपि सर्वं जीवितम् अल्पमेव तवेव वाहा तव नृत्य गीते. Nachiketa is intelligent. He understands desires, the nature of desires, and the nature of sensual pleasures. So it is something we have to admire. Of course, our detailed guide here is the Bhagavad Gita, which we have really studied in detail. And what I am doing is that I'm bringing across some salient points on desires from the Bhagavad Gita and presenting before you. But otherwise, chapter 2 onwards, chapter 2, 3, 4, and to some extent even 5, we talks exhaustively of desires and attachment and how it affects the human being. And some verses I present before you. One is, of course, the ladder of fall that we kept referring to again and again, even while we were reading the Bhagavad Gita. So these are verses 62 and 63 of the Bhagavad Gita, which essentially say that attachment to a sense object leads to desiring it. And if the desire is met, that means if we acquire it, more desires arise. Further, if the desire is not met, then it leads to anger. We start getting upset. And the more upset we get, it leads to our delusion, which makes us lose our memory of what, or our discrimination of what is right and what is wrong. So we lose our intellect, and that leads to our fall. We perish. So this was the ladder of fall, verses 62 and 63 of chapter 2 of the Bhagavad Gita. Chapter 3, verse 37 translates to, it is desire. It is anger born of the quality of rajas, all devouring, all sinful. Know this to be the foe here. So the words that were used was kam was desire, krodh for anger, mahashana, all devouring, which eats up everything, all sinful, mahapap, that was, these were the adjectives that were used for desire in the Bhagavad Gita. Verse number 37 of chapter 3. Verse number 39 of the same chapter, chapter 3, translates to, wisdom is covered by this constant enemy of the wise, O Kaunteya, in the form of desire as insatiable fire. So this verse was bringing out the insatiable nature of the desire, and we had discussed it. If you want to revise it, you can go through the recordings, all are available on our channel. Then I would like to draw your attention to verse number 22 of chapter 5, where we are talking of the sensual pleasures. The verse translates to, for the enjoyments that are born of contacts are only wombs of sorrow. They have a beginning and an end, O Kaunteya. The wise ones do not rejoice in them. So the verse referred to them as dukhyonya, or wombs of sorrow, because once a desire is fulfilled, more grow out, and ultimately they lead to sorrow. And because we are continuously seeking desires, they cause mental agitation and anger. And of course, the point that comes out is that uh, they follow the law of diminishing return. So that favorite example of mine, especially in the summer season, first mango of the season, which you're having after a year, and you are looking forward to eating it. And when you eat it, you consume it, you say, wow, this is the taste that I was waiting for a year. So whatever amount of pleasure, let's quantify it by x amount of x units of happiness, pleasure I get from having the savoring the first mango of the season, and then I think about that uh, flavor, that happiness, that X quotient of units of pleasure. And then I go for the second mango of the season, maybe the next day or after 3 days. The joy that I will derive will always be less than X. It'll not be as much as I derive from the first mango of the season. And following the law of diminishing return, this happiness will keep decreasing as the number of mangoes that I consume in that season increase. So, this is the law of diminishing returns. And also, when I start indulging or indiscriminately contacting the object, it leaves me with pain and strain. And actually, it's yielding lesser and lesser happiness. So, the mango example is still on a slightly higher plane. We can actually relate very easily to the kind of addiction and destruction that indiscriminate contact leads us to is through the examples of drinking, smoking, consuming drugs. So, what happens in this case? Maybe I'm taking the example of a cigarette smoking. So, maybe seeing someone, I feel that, okay, maybe it's something I should be doing. So, the first cigarette, so I start, and the first cigarette I smoke, it gives me a certain amount of joy. And then I get into the habit of smoking one cigarette in a day. Gradually, what will happen is that I will not be satisfied with that one cigarette. I will want more. And very soon, this one cigarette a day changes to, or translates to, or reaches the level of one pack in a day. Now it is harming my body, my senses, but I have become addicted to it. I cannot give it up. So it has become, we have reached that stage where we cannot abstain, because abstaining will give me more sorrow. So we have to use our intelligence and our discrimination to control the level of indulgence we are going in for with the sense objects. All this we have discussed in our Bhagavad Gita sessions. So now an ignorant person focuses or muses or thinks about on the worldly objects instead of Paramatman, instead of God. And this attraction towards the worldly objects leads to desires for them, and these desires lead to acquisition, which will never satiate. So the rich want to get richer, the powerful more powerful, wealthier more wealthy, and so on. We have umpteen examples all around us if we just pause and reflect, and even in ourselves at times. And of course, we want to enjoy. The desire has to be enjoyed. But that enjoyment is actually following the law of diminishing returns and is fleeting. So there's nothing wrong with acquisition, which again, Ishvavasiv Upanishad, verse number 1, says that Tena Tyakten Bhunjitaha Magridha Kasa Swidhanam. So enjoy it, but don't have greed towards that whatever is coming your way, because whose wealth is it anyway? Bhagavad Gita was saying the same thing, that nothing wrong with the acquisition. It is the craving, the greed that needs to be controlled. And the actionables that we had discussed then was that we should develop and strengthen our intellect so that we are able to check, control, and regulate our desires, and let the desire take a benign form, like a goal, an ideal, or an ambition, so that we are able to address our desire, but also attain, take it to a culmination point. And then gradually we have to practice to reduce desires through the three practices of Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, and Jnana Yoga at the level of the body, mind, and intellect, respectively. Now back to the verse. So Nachiketa already knows this. He understands this fleeting nature of the sense pleasures, understands that they will deplete the sense organs. That they are insatiable. Depletion of sense organs is also important to be understood, because see, as we age, we realize this. We are not able to see as much as well as we could when we were young. So we need glasses. Our taste buds are also giving way, they are wearing out. So we need more spices and more pungency in our food to actually savor the food. So the sense pleasures are actually depleting our sense organs. So Nachiketa knows that even if a long life is given to me, it will appear short because I would have multiplied my desires, and the desires being insatiable, I will never be able to fulfill them. And also, my capacity to enjoy them will decline. So, my even a long life will appear short. And this is what he's telling Lord Yam here. So, it is important. Through Nachiketa, we realize that if we are on a journey, of course, we know our destination. So that is what we have booked the tickets for. But we must continue to remember the destination while we are enjoying the journey and not come under the charm of the journey so much that we change course. So if I was supposed to travel from Delhi to Mumbai, I find and the train stops at, let's say, Bhopal, and I like something, and I say, okay, now let me stay here for some time, then I will resume my journey. Nachiketa is committed to what he is set out to do. And here, now Nachiketa is in front of Lord Yam. And he knows that Lord Yam knows the answer to my query because Lord Yam has not said that he doesn't know. And also, the boon has been given to him by Lord Yam himself. So, Nachiketa was wise and sharp, and he did not want this opportunity to go waste. He understands the uselessness of what was being offered by Lord Yam and discards it. So he says, you let these horses and the song and dances remain yours. And through Nachiketa, we continue with our lesson in renunciation in the next verse number 27. I will read. Navitten tarpaniye manushya lapsyamahe vittam adraksham chetatva jivishyam yavat ishiyassi tvam vartu me varniya sa ev. So Nachiketa says wealth can never satisfy a person. Moreover, now that I have beheld you, I shall certainly obtain wealth. I will live as long as you rule. Therefore, for me, there is no other boon worth asking for. So let's take this up word by word. Na not, Vittain is with wealth. Tharpaniya, satisfaction, satisfies Manushya, human. Lapsyamahe, one will get vittam, wealth. Adraksham, having seen. Chet, if. Tva, you. Jivishyam, one shall live. Yavat, so long. Ishiyasi, decide. Tvam, you. Var boon to but, may to me. Varniye to be asked for. Sa, that, ave, alone. So, Nachiketa says, wealth can never satisfy a person. Moreover, now that I have beheld you, I shall certainly obtain wealth. I will live as long as you rule. Therefore, for me, there is no other boon worth asking for. So let's read it together. Na vittain tarpaniye manushya lapsyamahe vittam adraksham chetva. Jivishayam yavat ishyasi tvam varatu me varniya sa eva. So Nachiketa is intelligent. He understands the insatiable nature of desires and sensual pleasures, which we have detailed out in the previous verses today. And here Nachiketa says, interestingly, that when I have beheld you, a person like you, have I not seen all the wealth of the world? So, the very vision of a master like you is wealth by itself. I am face to face with the great celestial master. Is that not wealth? Why do you want me to have further wealth of gold and animals and maidens? And it is nowhere close to being with you and sitting before you. Second point he's saying is that I will live, I mean, you rule. So I will live in this world only as long as you permit us, because you are the controller. Death will overtake everybody one day or the other. And even if I'm granted the longest life, what is the longest life? It will end one day. Someday it has to end when you decide. Therefore, I want only that which I have asked for and nothing else. And he continues, verse number 28, Ajiryatam amritanam upetyah जीर्यन् मर्त्यः क्वधस्तः प्रजाननन् अभिध्यानन् वर्णः रतिप्रमोदान् अतिदीर्घे जीविते करमेत. So the verse translates to, Nachiketa continues, having approached the immortals who do not age and do not die like you, an aging, decaying mortal understands that one is residing in a lower realm. And having pondered on the fleeting pleasures arising from beauty and love, who will exult in a long life? So let's take this up word by word. Ajiryatam. So Jirya becomes decaying, Ajiryatam, the undecaying. Amritanam, immortal ones. Upetya, having approached. Jiryan, being perishable. Martya, mortals, affected by birth and death. Kvadhastha, existing on a realm below. Prajanan is well knowing, well understanding. Abhidhyanan, having analyzed. Varn, beauty. Rati, love. Pramodan, the what we enjoy, the enjoyments of. Atidhirge, in the long. Jivate, life. Kahu, Ramet, will rejoice. So, having approached the immortals who do not age and do not die, like you, an aging, decaying mortal understands that one is residing in a lower realm. And having understood the fleeting pleasures arising from beauty and love, who will exult in a long life. So let's read it together. Ajiryatam amritanam upetya jiryan martya kwadhastah prajanan abhidhyanan varnharati pramodan atidirghe jivate kahramet. So Nachiketa continues with his listing of the futility of requesting for worldly wealth from his point of view. And now he brings out the fact that once he has met Lord Yam and he has seen an immortal free from old age and decay, why would he want to ask for mortal pleasures and wealth? The joy of not aging or dying far outweighs the joys that one derives from material experiences, which are finite, fleeting, following the law of diminishing returns. No one wants that. And after seeing you, that means after seeing Lord Yam, who resides on a higher realm, in the heavens, I understand, or Nachiketa says that I understand that my existence is on a lower realm. And all the wealth and glorious experiences that you are putting before me are largely in the mortal realm. Why would I ask for mortal things from an immortal like you? And considering all the defects of the sense pleasures, who will want a long life in this world? And finally, he rests his case by the last verse of this section, verse number 29, which I will read. Yasmin idam vichikasanti mrityo yat samaparaye mahati bruhi natat. Yaha ayam varah gud manuh pravishte na anyam tasmat nachiketa vranite. So the verse translates to, Nachiketa says, O death, tell me about this subtle matter on which there is doubt even amongst the most learned, it being an extremely difficult subject. And therefore, Nachiketa chooses no other boon. So let's take this up word by word. Yasmin, in which idam, this, vichikitsansi, there is doubt. Mrityu is how he is addressing Lord Yam, O death. Yat, which, samparaye, passing beyond, crossing over. Mahati, great. Bruhi is tell, nah, us, tat, that. Yaha, which, ayam, this, var, boon, Gud Manu Pravishti, that means it becomes more and more subtle for our mind. Na anyam, no other. Tasmat, therefore, Nachiketa himself, Vrinite chooses. So, Nachiketa says, O death, tell me about this subtle matter on which there is doubt even amongst the learned. It being an extremely difficult subject, therefore, Nachiketa chooses no other boon. So let's read it together. Yasmin idam vichikatsanti mrityo yat samparai mahati bruhi natat ya ayam varam gudh manu pravishishta na anyam tasmat nachiketa vrinite. So it's a very actually touching verse. See, we have been saying that the teacher is looking for a genuine student, but the reverse is also true. It is with great difficulty that one finds great teachers, just as genuine students are difficult to come by. And Nachiketa is now realizes that he is extremely fortunate to have Lord Yam as his guru. And since his boon is going into the realm of difficult, subtle, and inexplicable knowledge that is eternal, this is brought out by the words. If you look at, we did the translation, Samparaye, that means passing over. Mahati is great. So it implies great crossing over. So that means that Nachiketa is asking about the crossing over or death when our individuality is also gone. So beyond the normal cycle of birth and death. So he's asking for the great crossing over. So Nachiketa is displaying his wisdom and commitment and consistency of purpose in declining Yama's offer, various offers of exchange for his third boon, all of which refer to material, sensual pleasures, material wealth, and sensual pleasures, all of which is transitory in nature. And he requests death to illuminate him on what he had originally sought. So Nachiketa wants Lord Yam to initiate him into this knowledge of what actually happens to the soul when it leaves the physical body and the physical world. Where does it go? What happens to it? So here we end the first section of the Great Upanishad. And we also are actually ending the setting of the Upanishad. So the story of Nachiketa and Lord Yam ends here. When we start the next section, we will now be focusing on the knowledge which the Upanishad wants to give. Of course, we will be referring to Nachiketa and Yam because of the question answer mode that we are using. But the story part now, or the setting of this Upanishad is